Right, good afternoon, everyone. I do see some attendees are already coming in, so we'll give it another few seconds before we officially begin our webinar this afternoon. So give it a few more seconds to allow more attendees to join. All right, a very good afternoon, everyone. As we wait for more participants to join, I would like to welcome those who have already joined. I see a couple of people, Amy, Catherine, Masi, Peggy, Mabolale. Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. Perhaps you can just type on the chat where you're joining us from. That would be interesting to know where you're joining us from. Then as we wait for other people to come in, then we'll start very shortly in the next 1 or 2 minutes. You're welcome to just type and let us know where you're joining us from this afternoon. And I want to make sure that everyone can hear me clearly.
Yes, we can.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you for that confirmation. So to our attendees, feel free to just type on the chat and say good afternoon. So good afternoon to you, Mercy, and do let us know where you're joining us from this afternoon. So we're going to give it just another 1 minute or so, then we can start with introductions. Very interesting. We have an attendee joining us all the way from Lesotho in Southern Africa. So thank you very much, and you're very much welcome. Thank you, Amy. Karibu sana this afternoon. Very interesting, Mercy. Karibu sana from Kajiado East. Wow, very interesting, Catherine. Catherine is joining us all the way from the Philippines. That's quite something. So welcome. So in Kenya, we say karibu. It means welcome. Thank you very much for joining us. It must be late in the evening in the Philippines. All right. And I think maybe, so it's about 7 minutes past the hour. We don't want to wait too long because there's a lot of good information coming our way this afternoon. So we want to get started. I will start by introducing myself. My name is Sophie. Actually, I just realized that I probably should have changed that to my name. I'll do that now, just so that everyone can see my name. Just 1 second. All right, yeah. So my name is Sophie. I am the managing director at Coachlinks. Coachlinks is a community. For those of you who perhaps have not interacted with this brand before, Coachlinks is a community of coaches. It is a platform that brings together coaches from Africa and quite clearly even outside of Africa. So we bring together coaches, corporates, individuals who are looking for coaching, individuals who are looking to be coaches. and other entities that are interested, so that we can transform the growth of coaching, of the coaching sector or the coaching industry in Africa as a whole. And we do this in collaboration with other interested parties, even outside of Africa. So our website is www.coachlinks.com, and I hope that all of you can have a look at it after this webinar. So basically, CoachLinks conducts these monthly webinars. So we are very glad that you have joined us this week, this month, and the topic for thank you, Susan. So that is the link to our website, a platform. So if you are a coach, you can look at the website. I don't know if all of you have already joined and created a profile. If not, we welcome you to do that. And if you'd like to learn more about CoachLinks, you can just write on the chat and we'll get back to you after this webinar. So I was saying we conduct these webinars every month, and this week, this month, we are going to be looking at the leadership transition question. So this is a will be particularly interesting for people who feel like they're in a transition, whether you're in a job that you're not quite happy with, or you're in a business environment that you're not quite happy with, and you're thinking, should I leave? Should I go? Should I stay? What if I stay? What if I leave? So this webinar is going to address all those questions. And to do that, we have the very able Dr. Somoni Machogu. He's an entrepreneur and leadership coach from here in Nairobi, Kenya, based in Nairobi, Kenya. And he's also a seasoned entrepreneur and a mentor. And I will not belabor that so much. We will allow him to tell us a little bit more about himself. And I believe this is a good time. So it's about 10 minutes past the hour. I do hope that the attendees will continue coming in. The door is wide open. And I want to welcome those who are still coming in. Thank you very much. You can please just Onesmas, Rosemary, welcome. Do let us know at the on the chat where you're joining us from this afternoon. We'll be happy to hear from you. So without further ado, I am going to welcome Dr. Louis Machogu so that he can tell us a little bit more about himself and also carry us through this webinar this afternoon. So Dr. Louis, karibu sana.
Thanks, Sophie, for that introduction. Really happy to be here this afternoon. Where I am, it's afternoon. Yeah, so I know you had asked us to share our name, where we're watching this from, and yeah, what I think I would like to add a third one there. What takes up your time? You know, you're from Philippines, you're in Nairobi. You know, what takes up majority of your time? So I'll just put the questions there on the chat for anyone who feel free to just join in. So I'm happy to be here. My name is Dr. Louis. My wife and I are currently in Mombasa for a professional conference for the next 3 days. What I do, what takes up my time is just helping leaders navigate transition intentionally. There's a big word there before the leadership transition, and that's intentional. So I'd like to unpack that for us this afternoon. Yeah, so please, wherever you are from, just put it there on the chat what you're up to and where you're watching us from. So today I'll be sharing with you some techniques and principles around intentional leadership transition. Techniques and principles that even if you're facing the most toughest of demands on whichever facet of your life, whether personal or professional, you'll be able to navigate it quite intentionally. And some basic techniques and principles that can inspire even the most skeptical to just find alignment in your mission and move along with that. Yeah, so let's start off with some climate setting. Next slide, please. As we look for the next, yeah, there you go. So most leaders, when we have this conversation around transition, and really thank you all for making time to be here. It's a small, tight community, and I look forward to some of the engagement. So what we'll be having is a couple of chat questions. What do I want to confirm with everyone is, are you able to see the font on the screen where you are right now? One of the biggest questions I get asked when I show this slide is, how can all this belong to one person? Yeah. And is it even possible to integrate them, or we just let them all, be, and something's got to give down the line? Yeah. So most of the time, the executives and the leaders who come to us, they come with some unhealthy discomfort. So they feel, and I'll explain that a bit later, unhealthy discomfort around one of these areas. And what we do is we walk with them, on a journey that I like to call coaching, where we just unpack things and just, move that from an unhealthy discomfort and again an awareness around a healthy discomfort. A healthy discomfort is one that takes them to action. Yeah. So what they do is they initially come up with, they've raised red flags. Most of the time is I'm feeling, I have a teenager who I'm estranged with. I have a board in my business that we are at loggerheads with, so that's the unhealthy point. So the stance is usually one of blaming the other party. So, but at that point, we are just encouraging, listening, because we're gathering information. Yeah, and naturally there'll be a string of strained relationships along that, and that's really tugs at the heart of the leader and say, how can I, how can we change this? So I know we are on the chat. If any of you would like to add which 3 areas in their life right now, whether it's spiritual, health, your marriage, your relationship with your partner, parenting, community service, where are you feeling there's quite a demand right now? So for me right now, it's around the business, community service, and parenting area. I'm about to have a child who's a teenager, so I need to get ready with that. I'm feeling some demand around that. And my immediate past season, maybe 3 years ago, I was focusing around spiritual and marriage and finances. So anyone can put on the chat, what are the 3 areas you feel have a demand on your life. My 3 are business, community, and parenting. Yeah. So you can just put it there on the chat as we move on to the next slide, please. So we've looked at how the leader comes in with an unhealthy, awareness around what's, where their life is right now. So what you're looking at right now is, I get asked, one of the other questions I get asked is, what do you guys do in coaching? What happens when you're in coaching? Yeah. And what should I expect when I join, I join a program for coaching? So this is actually what we do. So we take a leader through this cycle. It's usually a cycle. What we're able to do is look and create an awareness, what I like to call a healthy awareness around where they are right now. I know you came in complaining, but where are you? What's your contribution? How do you, what ideas do you have about around options? What else could you do? So we build trust, we agree on a purpose. Where is this going? Where is this conversation going? So getting the leader in a trajectory that is forward-looking. Yeah. So we give some feedback, they do some assessment. We have assessment tools under which you're able to just do your own assessment and see where you are. Give some feedback. This is what I'm hearing from you. Get some commitment around some actions. Come up with a plan, and that's who will keep you accountable on that plan, and now then we make it into a cycle. So as you go and implement what we've agreed to implement, how are you, how's that cycle going on? And it has to be a cycle because sometimes you find a leader gets the action plan and they move on, but quickly they get stuck. Yeah, so there needs to be that constant, where are you, how are you feeling? So I hope I've been able to demystify what coaching is in that one slide. Next slide, please. Yeah, so today I'm excited to take you guys through this intentional transition agenda. Yeah, so I would like to hear from you around different things. We'll do a lot of questioning and answer as you are. I hear someone It's talking about the need to commit on their studies. Yeah, so we'll have a lot of that back and forth. So how we'll be able to do that, we'll have an introduction. We have 3 case studies that we look at to be able to get some, insights, awareness, and ask some questions. What will have been done, what worked well, and things like that. We look at some common barriers to intentional navigating a transition, and look at some practical techniques and principles. So whatever we come up with, we'll be able to give it some language to be able to, in the future, if anything happens, you're able to go back to your toolkit and see, okay, this is what, I know what this is, and I'm able to navigate it. Then we'll do a closing. Next. Yeah, so let's start off with some definitions. I know you all want to know what is intentional transition agenda, what that is about. So intentional leadership transition, it's all about a season. Yeah. So we like to call it like blocking your life into seasons, like the next 3 years, because I know we get excited when making New Year resolutions, but I know for myself at least, 1 year is not enough to deal with some of those things that I need to deal with. If it's committing to my studies, as Maholela has said, that takes a season. Yeah, so it needs to be a season of deliberate personal and professional growth, usually in response to a demand. So before I went to commit on the studies, there was a demand that was put on my life, either at my workplace. There are some competencies I needed to raise up to. Yeah, maybe I've been too technical. Now I need to go into administration and strategic thinking. So I need to go back to school. I need to look for someone to work with me. So intentional transition is being intentional about seeing the feedback, making a plan, and out of that plan, after a period of years, you be a season, we like to call it, how you responded came up and gave you some growth. So there's a definition there of a crisis. A crisis is usually an important time, or where a difficult decision or an important decision needed to be made. So a response. The Chinese define crisis in 2 ways. One, danger, another one, opportunity. Growth, I think I've said that word several times now, is a healthy response, usually. And a healthy response, I mean, even if the response was a bad response, yeah, I failed in my response. But how did you assess that failure and make it into a lesson? Because until you understand what happened, is what you'll be able to help someone else in the future, or even yourself, navigate that same mountain when you come back to that sense. Growth also is appreciating the frailty of competence. By that I mean, what is anchoring you? Is it a strong foundation? Is it based on, am I going back to school just to, to feel secure about myself, or is it, yes, I want to sharpen my gifts to just put them out there and, serve and empower others and, get paid for that, for example, yeah. Accountability needs to be there, mostly to a higher power. This is what I found to be true, because the goalposts on a higher power don't shift. You can, today there's what is fashionable or popular, tomorrow is something else. So you need to have something that is sound and doesn't shake, because that's your foundation, yeah. To be able then to reproduce these holistic results in your personal and professional. Of course, a transition is an inevitable. Change is inevitable and usually requires a personal choice. Yeah, and it happens when the pain of staying the same is more than the pain of the change itself. That's when actually we see transition happen. Yeah, next slide. Yeah, so I'd like to get to know you guys a bit. So we have some poll questions here. I'll ask my colleague to just post them up so that we can just do the poll questions. So just get to know, where are you? Have you experienced a crisis before? How have you navigated that? Which area of your life have you experienced that crisis? Yeah, so let's take a minute to do that vote. So the poll is anonymous. No one gets to see, but I'm sure you'd like to see the results and excited to see where everyone is versus where you are. Yeah, for me to be just interesting to see what insights come out of that poll. Have you faced a crisis in the past? And you can answer with more than one answer in any of those areas. How did that crisis turn out? That's one answer. How satisfied were you with the response you did? And are you currently facing a crisis? This will help set the tone of our conversations going on. Are we good with the poll? So let me do a countdown. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. All right, thank you. Are we able to see the results for the poll? There you go. Where are people facing some crisis? Where have they faced in the past? Work, that's huge. And so we'll get to see some example about work. Finances, that's nice. That's the second one. And business, yeah. So work, finances, and business. We've seen some spiritual, health, parenting. Again, we'll see other examples as we move on. How did that turn out? Mostly neutral. I'm not sure how that, I'm still navigating it and seeing how that goes. Mostly positive, mostly negative. Yeah, so we have some pros here. Were you satisfied? So moderately, okay. When making such a presentation, it's good to see moderately or not satisfied, because then it means there's a need for this conversation that we're gonna be having. And are you currently facing a crisis? So 83% of you guys are saying, what, I am in a crisis right now. Rather, I'm feeling a demand on my life right now. Yeah, so thanks, man. Thanks for the poll. Thanks, everyone, for that. So let's see what the next slides get to. We hope they get to answer and give you some insights into what we are discussing here today. All right. Yeah, so there's a premise, and I would like this. I'm here to test it, but there's a premise that goes around that majority of leaders intentionally know how to respond to pressures in their professional lives. Yeah, I think most of us said we have pressure in our work, business, our professional areas, but we are mostly unstrategic around responding to the personal ones. Sometimes even we are not even aware. Yeah. Yeah. So my question there is, have you observed such a premise before? And what could be driving this kind of premise? I think I have observed. I think there are many leaders out there. Their professional lives are going on well. Community service is going on well. But when it comes to either personal kind of goals around parenting and things like that, things are a bit hanging in there, or the jury is still out there on that. Yeah. So we'll be listening in on some of those conversations. So thank you. So let's go to the next slide. So we'll get to do some of the case studies. So we have 3 case studies. This is the first one. So the first 2 case studies, I'd like for you to take 3 minutes, just read the case study. The first one is about the Tylenol killer crisis management. There's a company, it's in 1982. The company is Johnson & Johnson. It has a medicine called Tylenol. It's a painkiller. It's in the market. A cold-blooded murderer comes in, and those days, the medicine you could just open. Yeah. So he opens the medicine, puts some cyanide in there, and people start dying, So the headlines say, it will be easier to turn water into wine than to bring back Tylenol as a product back into the market. So what happened? What did Johnson & Johnson do? So what Johnson & Johnson did is they made a recall of all the capsules, even if they knew it wasn't their fault. Yeah, as they tried to investigate what was happening. So they sent in investigators, helped the investigators, and finally they were able to find out it was this murderous person who was replacing, the tablets with cyanide tablets. And within 5 months of engaging a public relations manager, this disaster was back in, had been put in the back burner. They were quickly able to innovate a tamper-proof packaging. Yeah. And they recovered 70% of their market share, and proving the naysayers wrong. and they were able to establish Tylenol as a massive brand that was able to propel the company to where it is today. So that's the first case study. Second case study. Yeah. So 7 years later, this is the case of ExxonMobil. Yeah. So they had a ship. That's in 1989. Exxon, the tanker ran aground at Alaska. The tanker poured oil. The oil came out and killed some sea creatures. Hundreds of miles of coastline was polluted. What did Exxon do? Deny, deny, deny. Yeah, they did not support the public investigations. They just ran away. And this is 7 years later. Yeah, at least they were dealing with dead fish, not dead people. Yeah, and it took them 4 years to even appoint a public relations manager, and it took them 20 years, 25 years to be able to even resolve this matter. Yeah. So I'd like us to respond to a couple of questions. Let's go to the next slide and just reflect on those two case studies. What contrast can you pick, yeah, from the two case studies? How did they respond to the demand? Actually, what demand did you see from the Johnson & Johnson case study? Yeah, a murderous person replacing the cyanide pills. People are dying. Yeah, from the Exxon one, fishes are dying. Yeah, how did the two respond? Yeah, anyone can type anything on the chat. There was deny, deny, deny. Yeah. What did that give them? What about Johnson & Johnson? Yeah. Yeah, thank you, Sophie. One took responsibility to help solve the crisis. The one who took deny, deny, how long did that crisis take them to solve? Yeah, thanks, Peggy. Johnson & Johnson decided to focus on a solution. And actually, they went on and innovated the tamper-proof packaging, yeah, and they made that straight, mainstream. Amy, thank you. They took initiative, got a PR firm. They knew they were not experts in communicating because this is a crisis, you know, and I can see, they were able then to get experts in, even if they were experts in medicine, they were not experts in communication, yeah. What about Exxon? Exxon deny. What did they invent? Yeah, maybe a 25-year-old crisis. Yeah, because it just left their shares down. You know, public image for them was bad. They never really woke up. Yeah. So thanks. ExxonMobil buried their heads under the Johnson & Johnson took blame and worked on it. And I think this even really inspired their workers, their public. Imagine the public going back and taking Tylenol, something that was in the last few weeks killing people, and 6 months later, someone is actually, trusting that I can actually take this Tylenol and then I will not die. Yeah. So where else in your life do you feel these stories are relating? You know, where is a crisis that you feel like you've responded like Exxon? Where have you responded like Johnson & Johnson? So let's go on to the next slide. Yeah, so thank you. So this case study, it's a personal one for a young leader who went through a couple of transitions. So as you look at the following timeline, you can look at this particular subject. The subject joined uni and graduated. Actually, this subject did a course that their parents wanted, yeah? And but after that course, they went ahead and figured out, you know what, my goal is to just run away from dehumanizing poverty, yeah? And be able to fend for themselves, fend for their family. So fast forward, he founded a chain of pharmacies, was recognized for his work in creating employment, innovation in healthcare. He won awards to 40 under 40, got nominated in many other nominations. So he's in newspapers, he's a keynote speaker, sitting on expert panels. goes out, has a lot of money, buys cars, he has money in the bank, investing here and there, marries a wonderful friend, they're blessed with children. Yeah, but in the midst of all that, there's a lot of pressure, demand in the boardroom of his company. There are a lot of boardroom politics. He's hearing a lot of feedback. He can't make sense of that feedback. At home, he's hearing what's the plan. Yeah. The family feels it's not being led well. Yeah. There's no leader to follow. Yet he's having all these successes out here. Yeah. So soon there was a boardroom coup and he was kicked out of the company he founded. What ensued was a legal courtroom battle, an out-of-court settlement followed that. And each of that moment, the leader feels, torn. I have money, they have money, but they're not able to, what's all this pressure I'm feeling, yeah? They didn't feel that they had the competence to deal with all that pressure. So what did the leader do? After a while, and was able to get that humble point of, when you're kicked out of your company, went ahead and sought some leaders to, to just guys who've gone ahead to where he wants to go, coaches, guys who can actually look and say, okay, this is the feedback you're seeing in your life. What do you make of it? What other options do you have? And, fast forward, now he's happily married, 10 years happily married, 3 children, meaningful business partnerships. He has a life strategy that he is able to see each and every one of the family members and actually cast a vision for them that sees them, 10 years, 5 years, 20 years out, and they're all working towards that, and there's that cohesiveness. What I hadn't mentioned that, it was, his health was all over the place. Once he had to be rushed to hospital, to get some crisis management. Yeah, so long story short, the person woke up, got some help, and now, he has a spine to be able to put all that mix. It's one thing, I don't know if you know, animals that don't have a spine, you pick it like this and it's, you can't tell what it is, yeah? So it was able to just sort of go and get the foundation working right, and that was able to get him to navigate different life transitions, yeah. Who can guess whose life that was? Or can you relate to that kind of, navigating transition? So his parenting is, at another level right now. Before, the parenting was, coming home tired and just lashing out at everybody. Now he's able to just look at each family member, and that took deliberateness in saying, okay, this is part of his life. And what does this person want? Yeah, what's the dream? What's their dream? So that we can navigate this ship together. Anyone can guess? Take a guess whose life that was? I think I might have given it away. Or anyone can relate. You can just raise your hand and just say, I relate. Yeah, I think I relate. I relate with that guy. Yeah, and navigating those transitions. They're coming from the 1.0, 2.0, 3.0. Next slide, please. Yeah, so what relatable barriers can you pick? What is relatable positive responses? He was able to go get some help and just unpack the, feedback that he was getting. Next slide. Yeah, so let's look at some common barriers. I have some examples here I would like to share. So you're getting a lot of feedback. You're getting a lot of feedback into your, the season you are in, coming from different life facets. How are you responding? So some of us have the imposter syndrome. You feel ashamed. There's poor self-awareness. You don't have the spine. Your values are not holding up so that you can say, you know what, I'm gonna do this, yeah, and this is why I'll do this. So there's lack of courage, lack of will, shrink to fit. So what do? They shrink to fit. Yeah, you don't want to be seen at the boardroom or at the workplace. People are raising their hands to do some tasks. You feel like, oh, no, that's not for me, that's for them. That kind of thing. Some self-limiting behaviors. There's a lot of comparison. There's no focus. Getting pressure from here to there, trying to just look at, the Jonases, So here I have an example of a client. Actually, this is a client who was young, 27 years old. So this client, she has administrative gifts, yeah, as we later came to find. But initially, when she came in, you know, she's saying, you know, everyone says I'm good at secretarial work. For some reason, she feels secretarial work is low work. So she's not focusing on that. So she's focusing on looking at what else everyone else at the workplace is doing. You know, how can I do that? Yeah, instead of focusing on this gift that is actually an administrative gift. Yeah, it's what the operations manager or the operations director deals with or leads with. Yeah, they're unable to see that, so they only can see the negative side of what they perceive. It's actually their own perception. Yeah, maybe they have a bad experience. Yeah. Another example is flying solo, where you just, you know, you do this life by yourself. Here I have an example of a 50-year-old leader who was struggling with the relationship with their teenage daughter. And yeah, so after, you know, coming in, just saying, you know, this, I don't understand this child of mine, you know, we're able to get to the point of, you know what, this is my daughter. I would like to, you know, give direction, understand what they are all about. And we were able to go through a journey where they came up with plans, date nights with the daughter, understand the daughter well, do some intentional activities around that, because most of the time they were spending the time at work. And it was bringing out of the money, but then the child is feeling estranged. Yeah, and of course, lack an experience or skills competence gap. I think someone said earlier, you know what, I would like to further my education. And another one is factors beyond your control. I don't know if you noticed it, though, that out of all these barriers, it's only one that is a factor beyond your control. Everything else is something that you can actually do, you know, and address. Yeah. So let's go to the next slide, please. So here are some positive techniques that you can actually do when you get faced with, you know, the demand or pressure that you're getting in your life. Listen. It's nothing personal. Listen. Yeah. You'll be told that you don't know how to lead a company. You'll be told that you're not a good parent. You'll be told, you know, you get the feedback. The important thing is to interrogate the feedback and see, is it against the core of who you are? You know, if it's against the core of who you are, you can't deal with that feedback. Yeah. But if it's around, you know, things that you can actually improve on and just go get some help. Yeah. So you need to ask more questions to get more inputs, get more time, sometimes to calm down. For example, me, I was told, you know what, you're struggling to lead your company. I'm wondering, I've led this company for years and it's making money. What do you mean I'm struggling? But what I didn't know is that I was leading by intuition and execution. I wasn't leading by strategy. And it took the humbleness of leading that and to be able to go build my competence that now in the spaces that I am in, I'm actually affirmed that I actually lead well by strategy in addition to the other areas that I lead in. Identify resources, make an action plan, look at what's the priority. If I focus on the following item for the next 3 years, what's the benefit that's gonna be happening in my life? And look at it as an evolution journey. Yeah, so let's go to the next slide. So these techniques, the idea is to give you some techniques so that all those case studies that we underwent and those experiences we were sharing, you know, how Johnson & Johnson responded, here is now we are getting some languages on how, so that later you can look back and see, okay, this is how I need to respond, or here I'm behaving this way and this is how I counter. This is how I can be intentional. So here are 4 core principles on intentional leadership transition. First, you need to get a clear and compelling vision. You know, there's this saying that says people perish for lack of a vision. The reason why your daughter could be acting away or the other way, it could be that maybe the vision hasn't been cast enough, or at the workplace, if your employees are disgruntled, maybe the vision hasn't been cast well enough. Yeah, and the vision, does it see them, and do they see how they fit into this vision? Yeah. Another one is getting the C relationship. C stands for support, encouragement, and accountability. And who is keeping you accountable? Who is encouraging you? One of the things that I found is, in as much as there's someone you look up to, there also needs to be people you're pulling up. When you serve these people, you'll be so surprised in how all this is crystallizes and you start doing these things by just, you know, just in the back of your mind. Yeah. Get a challenging MVP. MVP stands for mindsets, values, and perspective. So challenge the perspective. What's this I don't like about a secretary? that is blinding me from seeing my gifts in administration, in operation. Yeah. Because if I start seeing my gifts in operations, I'll be able to go do a course that is able to build my operation competence, so I get the confidence. Yeah. And of course, the last one is get patience over panic. Yeah. Don't go around just responding to everything. Get patience. This will take time. Put in the 10,000 hours. I think this is from Michael Jordan, who said you have to put in the time, yeah, to be able to be a master in your craft. Next, please. And finally, the stairway to international transition. So someone comes to you, younger than you, older than you, it doesn't matter, and says, I like the way you've made transition. I saw your 1.0 story. I saw your 2.0 story. Now I'm seeing your 3.0 story. What's the deal? How did you get here? Yeah. Or even yourself, if you get stuck between the 3.0 to 4.0, you come back to this tool and say, okay, am I aware of what's pushing me? Yeah. Where are the barriers? Yeah. Am I aware of the choices that I have? Yeah. Then take initiative. Action, where you're seeing what's the desired goal, what are the actions that will influence that, attract the right people to work with. Sometimes you might have to let go the people, some of the perspective or tools that you use to get you to where you are. Sometimes you need to evaluate and see, will they be useful for the next part? Yeah, sometimes we keep carrying them forward and they act as barriers. Yeah, so who else can you attract, or in what perspective can you look at that? Yeah? You need to be accountable. You'll be making goals, and how are you accountable to those? And stay hungry. Even if you reach the top, it's just on top of a mountain. Focus on another star and keep on the guiding star and keep going to the next mountain. Yeah. Next slide. So with this tool, you'll be able to just look up and say, where am I going? And am I on the right path? So we've come to the end of the presentation. I'll be taking questions, but before I take your questions, here are some more questions I have for you. So which life asset are you currently feeling that has a demand on your life? Yeah, you're feeling a little bit of pressure in there. And can I give you a 3-for-3 challenge where you look at 3 of those life assets for the next 3 months? What good are ways if I focus on 3 for the next 3 months? I'll ask my colleague to just run a poll. We get to see what guys are saying. I know you guys like anonymous polls. Yeah, so the poll is live. Which life asset currently has a demand on your life? Currently. Before we talked about which one have you navigated before. So currently, after going through that whole presentation, what currently are you feeling as a demand on your life? Yeah. And if you're to be intentional for the next 3 months, to focus on it, yeah, and you're given all the resources you needed, yeah, which one will you pick? And what's blocking you currently from from being successful or being intentional about navigating this transition? So 1 minute to do this. It should be interesting to see the results, and I know you're all waiting anxiously. It feels like yeah, it's quite anxious. Let's see what guys say. Unfortunately, I can't vote. What do you feel will block you? Imposter syndrome, shrink to fit, and you can actually pick more than one answer. Yeah. All right, countdown: 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. All right, thank you guys for participating. Let's see the results, please. All right. Okay, so we still have a couple of heavy hitters here: finances, work, business, parenting. Yeah, those sort of shot up there. If you are to be intentional, we're getting the same: finances, work, business, marriage. Especially during COVID right now, we're getting a lot of pressure. What would be one of the things that are standing between you? Flying solo, shrink to fit, outside factors. So these are the things now you. So what we are doing is we are taking you from an unhealthy, sort of unintentional, awareness stage to a more intentional awareness stage, yeah, where you can be intentional on what. So with this kind of, you can actually go see a coach and be able to come up with a plan for yourself. So thank you. You can close the poll. Next slide, please. So I know this is actually a bonus for every one of you who's available here on the call and kept it to the end. So this tool is called an intentional leadership transition agenda. It looks at your life facets. So you're meant to state a facet where you're feeling a demand on your life. Yeah. What's the current feedback you're getting? What's the crisis? What are you saying? You remember, for me, it was questions around what's the plan? I was hearing, your company needs more from you. Yeah. And what goal can you come up with? Yeah. To be what and by when? Yeah. What's the benefit that you're going to see once you achieve the goal? Yeah. Without any limitations or any barrier. So here you're just dreaming, without any of those. What benefits will you be able to experience? Yeah. What obstacles stand in your way? So those barriers we are talking about, what people, places, perspectives, priorities. Maybe you're still chasing a priority from the last season. Maybe this new season is a new priority. Proficiencies, which new skills and competencies do you need? Yeah. What possibilities lie ahead? Yeah. What new pains are you able to come up with? Strengths, what are your strengths? What do you have with you that you can use? What resources can you tap into? Come up with a plan there. Track your progress. Who can you recruit to support you? Is it your confidant, your spouse, your boss, or someone else who can keep you accountable? And this needs to be someone who's really unashamed. It's there for you, but they're not really ashamed to raise up and say, here I'm seeing you're not really, or here I can see you're really doing well, and they can affirm you for it. Yeah. So this tool will be available for you guys on email and even the presentation. Next slide, please. Yeah, so I know I may not have been able to capture a lot of your questions. I'm writing a book. It will have a lot more powerful questions in there. Please, you can just reach out on the link there, and just let me just put this on the chat. With that link, you'll be able to just sign up and just be able to. Yeah. Sorry, I wasn't able to copy. Yeah. So, do you guys have any questions? We can take any questions right now as I post this link. You can reach out to me. Recommend someone you feel needs to get some of this presentation. Any question? I know I've given you a lot of quizzes. Now it's your turn to quiz me. It seems like you're a good class. I really enjoyed the engagement and the chat.
Yeah. Is there a question from Abraham?
Abraham, yeah. Is it on the chat? Or it's Abraham will be unmuted? Any questions? You can just put it on the chat. That's my contact. You'll be able to reach me.
Okay, so Abraham has his hand raised.
Can put it on the chat, or how did you want?
Can just allow him. Abraham, can you maybe ask your question? I unmuted you.
Or maybe he was raising his hand for something else when you were asking.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But if you have the question, please do put it in the Q&A section. Anyone who has,
or even just a comment. I can see one here. I resigned from, let me just open it from my side. I resigned from my 10 years teaching post last year to pursue my studies. I did well last academic year, but now I can't even finish my proposal. So yeah, someone is feeling stuck. Who's that? I need to, Mabolale. Yeah, did I say that right? So is there a question to that? I think that's really the demand on your academics. So there are some questions you need to ask there around, what's driving the, where is your mind, focused on right now? What are you feeling is consuming your mind? What's taking your effort? Why did you check up the studies in the first place? Is that goal still viable? Maybe you've seen something that's discouraging you. Is that goal still viable? Who else has, navigated their, maybe they went and did their masters. How did they navigate that, a leadership task? Can you look for someone to go and, just have a tea with, buy them tea, have a conversation? Yeah, a lot of the feedback we got around the barriers was flying solo. So getting someone with a different perspective will really refresh and re-energize you. Thanks for the refreshing presentation. It was quite engaging. Thank you. Thank you. Interesting conversation. So feel free to share the link with anyone else who you feel might benefit from this presentation, and we'll be able to send it back to them and even post the link of the recording as well in time. Yeah. Any more comments? Sophie, back to you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Louis, for that enlightening presentation. I think I speak for everyone when I say that we all have something, a kind of a crisis or something that we are struggling with, either work, business, family, parenting, studies. I'm sure there's something. And hopefully the tools you've shared with us this afternoon will go back and reflect. So we'll be sending everyone the copy, the guide that you have shared, you have graciously shared with us. So we'll send that to everyone. So as we go through it, I invite everyone to just go through it while thinking about the issues we have right now. So we've come to the end, and we were going to have, we had requested one of, as I had started, when I started earlier, I was saying that Coach Links is a community, and we have partners. One of our partners is a company. Sorry?
She's in, yes.
Yes. So I was going to say one of our partners is a company called Real for Africa, and the CEO is Edith Njagi. Edith has just joined us, and we had invited her to say just to give just some closing remarks. So we have 2-3 minutes. So Edith, I welcome you to just give us some closing remarks.
Thank you, and thank you for the invite as well. I think I'll say this, right? We are at a time where young people within the African continent have to step up to the plate and unashamedly shine, right? I say unashamedly because especially for women within the continent and Africans in general, right? We decide to step back, right? We decide to dim our light and not be the very best that we should be, right? So as an entrepreneur, for example, so I'm a serial and social entrepreneur. I also serve as CEO of Ariel for Africa. I believe that greatness has no limit to it aside from what we put on ourselves. So the only limit to your success, the only limit to your greatness, the only limit to who you are as a person in corporate, a person in politics, a person in entrepreneurship, a leader, is any limit that you put yourself. So I want to encourage you, young Africans, be unashamedly great and be relentless. What I mean by relentless is almost like driving on a highway, the same way, you know, Kenya's the way we drive, driving on a highway and not knowing where the brake is. So you, as a young person in your career, in your pursuit of greatness, in your pursuit of whatever you believe your purpose to be, right? Put the gear on 5, right? Assuming we're driving a manual car. Or if you're driving an automatic car, put it on 2. And don't let up for anybody or anything. Give it your all. You would rather go out saying I did it rather than not even try. So if you've had an idea, if you've had something that you've been wanting to do, just wake up and do it, right? Within this COVID time, I think I've co-founded 3 companies. I've written and published a book, writing a second one. You know, I launched a podcast. There's no limit that you can put on yourself aside from the ones you create. Everything is in the mind. Your greatness is in your mind. The limits that you're seeing in the world, they're also in your mind. Just wake up and decide to be the very best version of yourself every single day. And I mean that emotionally, mentally, in your career, with your relationships. I mean that even with your health, right? I mean that with every single part of your being. Just wake up, be relentless, and be great, and refuse anything else but that. And that's the only recipe for success that I think I can get behind. But thank you so much to Coach Links for inviting me. This has been great. I hope everyone will connect with me on social platforms as well. And I hope that what I have shared will be helpful for your growth and your future. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Edith. I think that is the last minute fire that we needed. So we are going to take what Louis has taken us through today, that we must consciously look at the crisis, where the crisis is, where the issues are, and then we are going to adopt that spirit of being relentless and just going for it. And then hopefully we come out on the other end. So this has been great. We are going to end just on top of the hour. Thank you very much to our speaker, Dr. Louis Machogu. Thank you for the advice on the enlightening issues that you have raised this afternoon. I want to say thank you very much to Edith for joining us and giving us that last minute fiery challenge. And another thank you to the Coach Links team who's been behind the scenes to make this happen. But I reserve the biggest part of the thank you for our attendees, for all of you who took your time this afternoon to join us and listen in, ask questions, make comments. We thank you very much. We wouldn't do this without you. As promised, we're going to send you a free guide that Dr. Louis has developed. We're going to send that on email, but also we have been recording this webinar, and as soon as it's edited and it looks nice, you know, good enough to be shared, we're going to be sharing it on our website, and we'll also share it on email for those of you who are registered on Coach Links. And if you're a coach and you're not registered on this platform, please do register, create a profile. You'll be able to connect with other coaches, but most importantly, you'll be able to be accessible to clients, to people who are looking to be coached, or if you're looking for networks or coaching networks in Africa, or if you're looking for information on coaching, coach training institutes, you will find all those things on our website. And we had shared it earlier. So I thank you very much, and I wish you a very good afternoon ahead. We are going to have another webinar next month in November, where we will invite another exciting speaker with another great topic. So be sure to look out for our information or adverts on the same. So thank you very much, and have a good evening or good time of day wherever you are this afternoon, and bye-bye.